Today on the Bar Business Podcast, discover smart strategies to maintain revenue during quiet shifts, learn how to turn slow periods into profit opportunities, and master quick wins that boost sales on any night. Hello, and welcome to the Bar Business Podcast, where we help bar owners increase profits, attract loyal guests, and simplify operations so you can avoid burnout and finally enjoy your life outside of your bar. I'm your host, Chris Schneider, the Bar Business Coach. Before we get started, a quick thank you to our sponsors, Spot On, who provide a great modern POS solution for the bar and restaurant industry, and Starfish, who use AI to turn your books into actionable steps to increase profits. So today we're going to talk about a challenge that every bar faces, which is just a slow night that can destroy your weekly numbers. And I think it's important to really talk about this time of year because we're coming at the end of spring, into summer. We have a lot of areas, especially around the United States, where we're going to have bad thunderstorms, power outages, windstorms. We've been dealing with that all through March and April, but it continues through May, June, July, and August. And so what can we do to help deal with this? Because anytime we have bad weather, and this is true for snow days in winter too, we're going to have one of these really slow nights. Or also during the summer, we have events that happen. You know, maybe there's a fair in your county or there's some festival or something going on that's going to take away from your business. And we need a plan to deal with that. So today we're going to explore proven methods to maintain profitability even when your guest count dips for a night. Now, the big thing in here is that on a night where we have a dip in sales, or a weekend that we have a dip in sales, or a few days where we have a deep dip in sales, variable costs change, right? Labor goes down, our food cost goes down, all that comes down, but our fixed costs don't move at all. So we always have to make sure that we have the ability to cover those fixed costs. Another problem that we have when we run into any of these slow nights is that staff morale suffers, especially for our front of house folks. I mean, really, their whole job is based upon getting tips. So when they don't get those tips, when they can't work or when it's slow, that really hurts their morale, and it, quite frankly, can hurt their entire life if it's slow for too long. The other thing that can happen, and this is not likely if it's just an event or a rainstorm or something that causes a small blip in your sales. But if that continues, it can actually build and create negative momentum. That's going to make it harder for you to be successful in the future. And the other big impact that happens on those slow nights is a lot of times people have knee-jerk reactive marketing where they're going, oh my God, I need to do something to fix this problem now. They could have maybe saved some of the problem if they were just proactive from the start. So really today, as we talk about ways to deal with these small dips in sales that are going to happen every once in a while throughout summer as just a course of business, and really throughout the entire year as a course of business, we're going to talk about three things. We're going to start by talking about staffing. Then we're going to talk about revenue optimization. And then we're going to talk about building consistent traffic so that these events can't hurt you. So with staffing, the big thing here is when it gets slow, you need to have less people. Now, that should be obvious, right? It's slow, I need less people. But what I see way too often is we know, let's say tomorrow night, there's going to be a terrible rainstorm, and we know it. And there's going to be wind and hail and tornadoes, let's say, and thunder and lightning. So a really bad spring, summer storm in the United States. We know that storm's going to be tomorrow night. No, we don't know, obviously, exactly when it's going to hit, what it's going to do, and all that. And normally tomorrow night, let's say we would have 3 servers on, a bartender, and 2 people in our kitchen. What most owners do is go, it's going to be slow tomorrow night. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Now, it's not taking a proactive approach to this at all. You're not really utilizing your staff in a way that's going to get that labor down. So the first thing when it comes to your staff strategies for these slower nights, especially if you can predict them, like the weather's going to be lower, implement an early cut procedure, right? If I know I have 3 people on the floor, front of house, and I think it's going to be slow, cut 1 the night before. And then be really quick to cut people as especially weather conditions worsen. Or if there's an event that's taking people away from your bar, as that event kicks in and you know that it's not going to get better because people are at that event, cut staff early. Now, one of the biggest tools to help you be able to cut staff early is to make sure that your entire staff is cross-trained. We've talked about cross-training before, but being able to put people into different jobs when you are slow is absolutely crucial to keeping that labor cost down when you have these blip type slow nights. But the thing that you always have to keep in mind because it can be far too easy to do this. You're balancing labor with service. Yes, our labor needs to be as low as we can get it. Yes, it is our absolute goal to keep labor as humanly low as possible. Yes, we need to cut, cut, cut. But the second you cut to the point you're sacrificing service, you've hurt your own business more than you've helped it. So cut, be on top of those labor statistics, be on top of your financials. Make sure that when you see it's going to be slower for weather or outside events or whatever, that you're cutting that labor back, but also make sure you're not sacrificing your guest experience. Now that brings us to revenue optimization. So, revenue optimization, what are some things we can do on slow nights? Well, A, throw out a special that's a high margin food item or a high margin cocktail. And yes, it's a special, so it needs to have a good price, but you can mix price and volume really well. Think of things like getting a 1 pound baked potato and loading it full of stuff, right? Cheese, meat, sour cream, onions, peppers, whatever you're putting on this potato. Potato is going to cost you like 50 cents. The potato costs basically nothing and it's huge. So you can take a potato and for $3 or $4 worth of cost, make a great potato that has a bunch of stuff on it. If you're running a standard 33% cost or 25% cost, if it's $3, $4, you're looking at about $12 to sell it. $12, you could say, well, that's a lot for a potato, but if it's loaded and it's good, you're gonna sell it. And that's going to help you have a higher margin item that is a special to help you build in those sales and to not lose revenue on that slower night. Another good way to optimize revenue, and I always like doing this on Sundays, is to bundle your food and beverage. So, game day special, you get a pitcher of beer, an order of wings, and two sandwiches. Now, is that going to be a special? Yeah, it's like $40 probably a lot of places because you're getting two sandwiches, wings, you're getting a pitcher of beer. It's going to be $40 or something like that. But it gives you a bundle to attract people in. It figures out their food and drink for them. It makes it really easy, especially when you have a sports crowd. The other thing you always want to make sure that you're doing when it's slow, and we've talked about this in the last couple of weeks, is upselling. So make sure you've trained your staff on upselling techniques. There's always a way to squeeze a little bit more money out of every table and do it in a way that improves the guest experience and does not hurt the guest experience. So when you're doing that, just make sure, hey, we're upselling because if you can upsell, you can sometimes get rid of the fact that there are fewer people in there, right? And the revenue numbers, it won't make any difference. Now, in order to avoid this problem though altogether, the real key here is building consistent traffic. And we've talked about consistent traffic a lot, but develop weekly events, right? If you know Wednesday's always slow, do something on Wednesday that's going to bring people in. If you know Tuesday's always slow, do something on Tuesday. The only night that I find is almost impossible to have something work and actually bring in business is Monday. I think Monday night is almost not savable in that regard. They will always be slow. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if those are slower nights for you, have an event, have karaoke, have trivia, have bingo, have something to pull those folks in the door. Target specific customer segments on different nights, right? If you're creating these specials and you're creating these events, make sure you're targeting a specific demographic, a specific guest avatar that is one of the guest avatars that you have all the time in your bar. And that's why when you go from trivia to say a poker game to say karaoke, you're hitting three totally separate groups of people. But for a neighborhood bar, for a bar that's really reflecting their community, you're going to have all those different types of people that are coming in. So you can bring them in on different nights, create that loyalty on different nights, which in turn make sure that your sales stay flatter and are less susceptible to ups and downs from weather and outside events and all of that. Finally, use your social media strategically, right? Get out there, do it well, but make sure that you're posting well in advance your specials and everything as they're happening. And when you have bad weather, acknowledge it. When you have an event in town, acknowledge it and just kind of try to sell into it. For example, and this is a bad example because I'm not actually recommending you do this, but if you look all across the Gulf Coast in the United States, there are hurricane parties. Literally, bars hold lock in hurricane parties. Now, if you're a bar that does that, great. If you're a bar that doesn't do that, great. If you're going to do that and you don't do that now, talk to your insurance agent first. Please be careful if you're throwing hurricane parties. But that's a wonderful way to take what is a terrible natural disaster that will shut down a business for days and instead have 24 hours or 48 hours of straight sales because you have guests locked in your bar drinking. Point is, use your social media strategically, leverage what's in front of you. But remember, slow nights don't have to destroy your week, they don't have to destroy your month. If you plan properly, you staff intelligently, and you use strategic promotions, you can maintain profitability even during the quieter periods. That about wraps it up for today. If you enjoyed today's insights, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a review. If you are ready to take your bar to the next level, schedule a strategy session with me by clicking the link in the show notes below. Until next time, have a great day, and we will talk again later.